The government of India has called for a ceasefire in the holy month of Ramzan. But for terrorists, it seems there is nothing holy. Fully aware of the ceasefire put in place by the government, these terrorists are unleashing terror in the Kashmir Valley. New methods are being deployed to make the job of our forces harder with complete disregard for peace during the holy month. Miscreants in the valley are devising new methods to target security forces in the already tense Jammu and Kashmir. During a recent protest, stones were pelted at Central Reserve Police security vehicles were stopped, cycle, bricks, wood logs were used. But what was shocking is that they just didn't pelt stones. One of the protesters even threw a cycle at the vehicle. Threats is manifold in the valley. Terrorists targeted a team of state police earlier today. A police party came under attack at the Batpora Chowk of Shopian district in Jammu and Kashmir. At least 12 civilians along with 4 policemen were injured in the attack. The peace offering made by the Indian government has given a free run to these terrorists in the Kashmir Valley who are finding new ways to wreak havoc. And I'm joined by my colleague Aditya Dhunna, correspondent from Newsroom. Aditya, my question to you is, why such escalation of violence and why protesters are using objects which can actually invite retaliation?
Yeah, Karthike, if you recall, this particular announcement from the government of India to withdraw from active operations in the valley came after the state chief minister Mehbooba Mufti had requested the centre that the Ramadan time seems to be the most appropriate occasion to have this kind of thaw intentions. Now this obviously comes after an interlocutor was appointed by the government of India to engage with the people in Jammu and Kashmir, and the security operations which our security forces have carried out in the valley have had an impact because more than 700 terrorists have been gunned down in various security operations. Now, even as India tries to engage with Pakistan to bring ceasefire, bring the ceasefire violations under control at the border. These obviously attempts by stone pelters, throwing stones and objects at security forces. Obviously, these attempts will affect those efforts being made by the state government and government of India to reduce tensions in the valley.
Let go of you. The services have been shut down. Certain areas have been completely cleared off. Do you think it's part and parcel of, or the larger attempt is to use the time to infiltrate more terrorists in the valley? And secondly, the fact that ceasefire has not been reciprocated, the sentiment has not been reciprocated, comes out to be completely a farce idea?
Yeah, this is something, Karthike, that we have known for the longest time, that the Pakistani forces are using cover fire to enable infiltration of terrorists from launch pads within Pakistan and at the border into the valley. Now, this is something that these activities have been were curbed when Indian forces launched a security operation in Jammu and Kashmir. But now they are resorting to, since obviously weapons have been the weapon supply to these terrorists has been curbed. Now they are resorting to newer attempts, and as you can see visuals on your screen, they are resorting to stone pelting, throwing objects at security forces, basically unsettle them at a time when the peace attempts are being made to reach some peace in the valley and reduce the tensions.
Thank you, Aditya. Thank you for this update. Now moving on in the bulletin. At least 14 people have been killed and 17 other injured in a suicide bombing near a gathering of Afghan clerics in the capital, Kabul. The clerics had gathered to denounce terrorism and call for peace. No group has claimed the responsibility for the attack so far. A series of bombings in Kabul have killed dozens of people in recent months and shown no sign of easing during the holy month of Ramzan. The latest bombing underlines a worsening security situation ahead of parliamentary and district council elections set for October 20th. In April, 2 explosions in Kabul killed at least 26 people, including 9 journalists who had arrived to report on an initial blast. I'm joined by my colleague Siddhant Sibbal from New Delhi on this issue. Siddhant, does it go on to show that there's a major surge of violence on part of the Taliban in Afghanistan? The terrain has completely changed?
Well, definitely Taliban is on an upswing despite the fact that the US is saying that it's going on offensive. Recently there was this briefing by General Nicholson, who is the head of the Resolute Support, the head of the army, the American of course, and of course the other countries who are participating in that, making sure that Afghanistan remains stable. He said that Taliban is under pressure now because of what the American forces are doing, but that seems not to be the case, because we have seen a lot of bombings happening in Afghanistan, in Kabul particularly. Today's bombing is not very new, because we have seen much more serious bombings taking place in Kabul, and this bombing took place at a site where the ulemas were discussing on issuance of fatwas against these suicide bombings. And despite this discussion happening, we saw that bombing happening. And of course it's not that they internally only Taliban is getting backing, it's also external forces that are backing Taliban, and that is why this resurgence taking place. And almost on a daily basis there are reports coming from Afghanistan, and particularly from the capital city Kabul, that bombings and terrorist strikes are taking place. Recently we saw our deputy NSA there at the Interior Ministry discussing with his counterpart, and the Interior Ministry was attacked, in which many were killed. So that shows that situation remains grim in Afghanistan.
Election season is at its peak in Pakistan, and Imran Khan's ex-wife Rahim Khan is back in the news. The row this time is over Rahim Khan's upcoming autobiography, parts of which have leaked online in Pakistan. The leaked content of this book have irked members of Imran Khan's party. The Tehreek-e-Insaf, they claim that Rahim Khan accepted a payment from Shehbaz Sharif, the brother of ousted Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif. Member of Imran Khan's party alleged that the payment is part of a campaign by the ruling party to malign the party and its chief. Rahim Khan has also denied allegations. So why release the book now? Well, the timing of Rahim Khan's autobiography is indeed curious. Pakistan will elect its next government in July this year, and Imran Khan at the moment is amongst the favourites. Anti-incumbency against the ruling party and weak opposition could mean that Imran Khan could very well be the next Prime Minister of Pakistan. Now, the bitter ties between Imran Khan and his ex-wife Rahim Khan are well known to the world. Speaking to WION back in February, Rahim Khan has criticised Imran Khan, blaming him for political opportunism. Khan had even said that she cannot stay quiet any longer.
Everything that I say is going to be seen as a quote, but I think that people ask me questions, and the only thing that I'm perhaps guilty of is answering questions when I'm asked questions, and I'm answering honestly when people ask me about certain decisions. And I think that I can't forever be quiet, because obviously I have a political voice, I have a voice of a social activist, and I have a voice for Pakistanis as well, who I'm also in the public domain now. So I can't really be bothered about what people think. I'm really least bothered about why people think I'm motivated to say that, because a lot of people are thinking what I'm saying and are writing about it. In fact, they're writing far more harshly than I am. If I'm saying get your act together, that's what a lot of Pakistanis are saying. A lot of ideological PTI workers are saying this, because we see that there is actually no opposition left to the Sharifs anymore. There is no one challenging their position.
And I'm joined by Taha Siddiqui, Bureau Chief, Islamabad. Taha, my first question to you is that, Rahim Khan has been in news, and what are the content which is making so much of headline in both India and Pakistan, and what are the allegations because of which the Imran Khan's party is so irked and angry?
Well, Karthike, actually, the book has not been officially released, and Rahim Khan herself has, given a statement saying that when she herself has not officially released the book, how is it that the PTI members or the PTI supporters got a hand on the book itself? Now, basically, from what we understand, apparently, someone has allegedly hacked into Riham Khan's accounts and has perhaps leaked the book online. Now, the content of the book itself is not being discussed here. What is surprising or perhaps expected in the case of PTI, because we've seen how the social media team of Pakistan Tehreek-e-Insaf, Imran Khan's party works. They have been hurling sexist and misogynist and very patriarchal sort of abuses towards Riham Khan, saying that Riham Khan's only purpose to get this book out is to defame Imran Khan, and she has taken money from Shehbaz Sharif or the opposition of Imran Khan, the political opposition of Imran Khan. Whereas, yesterday only there was one of the persons who has been hurling allegations and accusations was invited for a TV show on a Pakistani channel, and when he was asked about what proof he has, he said someone told him. So basically, it's a hearsay, but because of the fact that they understand that this book will have some revealing information about Imran Khan, about the marriage that they had, and especially at this crucial time when Imran Khan is, the party is going into elections and campaigning, it might hurt them. So it appears that they are preemptively trying to ridicule and trying to sort of discredit Riham Khan and her book before it even comes out, and through means which reflect complete misogyny, complete sexism, which is what people are saying, that if you want to talk about the book, you talk about the content, not about the character of the woman who has written it.
Thank you. Weeks before he travels to Singapore for summit talks with United States President Donald Trump, North Korean leader Kim Jong-un has reportedly replaced 3 of his top military officials. South Korea's Yonhap news agency has reported that the defense chief Park Yong-sik, the chief of the Korean People's Army, General Staff Ri Myong-soo, and the director of KPA's General Political Bureau, Kim Jong-gak, have been replaced. South Korea's Unification Ministry, however, has confirmed only about the replacement of 1 official.
공식적으로 확인이 된 거는 총정치국장 김수길 총정치국장으로 확인이 됐고요. 나머지 그 인민무력상하고 총참모장은 공식적으로 확인이 되지 않았습니다.
This comes weeks after reports in the American media that the North Korean leader Kim Jong-un was wary of making the long journey to Singapore for the summit talks. It was reported that the Kim wanted to ensure that there is no trouble at home, including the possibility of a coup during his foreign trip. And I'm joined by Palki Upadhyay, Associate Editor from Newsroom. Palki, tell me, is it just paranoia or it's the fact of life in the North Korea?
Well, North Korea has seen some shake-up at the very top, and Kim Jong-un is known to be the man who wants complete control and is not... it doesn't rely very much on people outside his family. So that's one of the factors, and these reports have been coming out for a long time. Remember, he hasn't gone out of the country except for the 2 meetings that he's had with Xi Jinping in the last couple of months. For the last 7 years since he took power, he's not really left North Korea, and there might be detractors. This is an army state. There might be detractors. There might be people who feel that meeting the American president is not the wisest course of action. So he's preempting that. But a lot of interesting developments have happened which have in a way elevated his stature. He was a man who was once believed to be one of the most isolated leaders in the world. Today, he's a leader for whom many world leaders are lining up, including Russian President Vladimir Putin and, of course, Syrian President Bashar al-Assad. So Kim Jong-un is, of course, keeping into account all of that and how the global political equations are changing and how his team responds to that. So I believe that he's taken this decision, but very little comes out in terms of facts from North Korea. So this is all open to conjecture.
Well, this could be a propaganda or fact, but we have no way of knowing either way. For now, the story goes like this. Days ahead of the much talked about summit between the US President Donald Trump and North Korean leader Kim Jong-un. The Washington Post has reported that the North Korean leader wants someone else to pay his hotel bills in Singapore. The Post reports that the Kim has chosen the 5-star Fullerton Hotel near the Singapore River for his stay during the summit. The presidential suite there costs more than $6,000 a night. While Kim would like to stay at the Fullerton, Trump would most probably stay in this hotel, the Shangri-La. This is the place that hosts the high-profile security dialogue where Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi was the keynote speaker last week. Like this Fullerton, the Shangri-La too is a 5-star hotel and one of the most prominent addresses for high-profile meetings and events. But the Post has quoted sources as saying that the Trump-Kim talks may be held not at these two venues but at the relatively secluded Capella Hotel on the island of Sentosa. So it's the logistics of the summit that's being worked out these days. And citing sanctions, the cash-strapped North Korean regime has apparently asked a foreign country to foot Kim's bill at the hotel. The Post says the unexpected request came up before the team of US officials who were in Singapore to prepare for the summit. So far, there is neither a confirmation nor a denial from the North Korean side to the reports, but the Post quotes sources as saying that the US may ask the host country, Singapore, to pay Kim's hotel bill. The international campaign to abolish nuclear weapons too has reportedly offered to pay on behalf of the North Korean regime. Nuclear disarmament is a big theme at the summit, and so is. And moving on in the bulletin, going back to my colleague Palki. Palki, is it a reality which is being stated through a request, or it is like USSR when the American or the CIA, they had no idea that the country would collapse, and they had given a long perspective as to how USSR should be contained. So my basic question is, the fact that they cannot pay just goes on to show that despite being reclusive and nuclearized, the state in itself is in shambles.
Well, the state is in a shambles, and that is something that has been borne out by very many reports that have come out of North Korea. But remember, this discussion is based on one report in one newspaper, that's the Washington Post, and they're also quoting sources. So the North Korean regime has not said that, yes, we are not willing to pay the hotel bill. That's point number one. Point number two, for a country that has apparently tested nuclear weapons and hosted international journalists to witness the demolition of a nuclear testing facility, it's very hard to believe that they cannot foot a bill of $6,000 a night for one hotel. So if at all the North Koreans decide to do this, they'd probably just be trying to test the patience of the Americans or needle Donald Trump. Beyond that, I find it very hard to believe that they cannot pay the hotel bill for their supreme leader, who travels in a limousine, has a palatial house that he lives in, and has the best of the world, has gone to study in Switzerland. Yes, the average North Korean is not having a very good life, and their economy is in a shambles, crushed by the sanctions imposed by the United States. But I would find it a bit of a stretch to imagine that the North Koreans cannot pay for Kim Jong-un's hotel stay in Singapore. Having said that, the Americans cannot do it because they'll have to change their legislation. So it all comes down to Singapore. It's not a country that's known to do favors without getting anything in return, but we'll have to see. This is still more than 10 days away.